Hi, my name is Ethel Rohan. I was born and raised in Dublin and I emigrated to San Francisco. I am the author of a forthcoming short story collection, In the Event of Contact, that's coming out in May. And I am delighted to read an excerpt for you from that today. And I would like to thank the Irish American Writers and Artists Organization for including me. I'm going to dip in and out of a couple of stories. I will read first from the opening story in the collection, which is the title story, In the Event of Contact. And I will start at the beginning, so you don't need any background. In the Event of Contact. Ruth, Mary, and I were identical triplets. I was the oldest by 10 minutes, Mary was in the middle, and Ruth, the youngest, was infamous. Ruth's saga started in kindergarten, and ever after people remained divided over whether she was a weirdo, the victim of a genuine disorder, or plain bad. The bother began with our 5-year-old classmate, Timmy White. At every opportunity, Timmy insisted on tracing his fingertips over any flash of Ruth's bare skin. The afternoon he dipped his fingers into the hollow of Ruth's throat, she suffered a seizure. After, Ruth claimed she couldn't stand to be touched, not by anyone, not ever. Doctors confirmed the crippling fear was a real and rare phobia. I could never understand, though, why Ruth's no-contact rule extended to Mary and me, the two people closest to her in the whole world. We were 12 years old and nearing the end of primary school when Ruth's phobia deteriorated to an especially disturbing degree. If anyone accidentally touched her, even the barest brush, she screamed and dropped to the ground in a fit. The neighbourhood kids and our fellow students grew ever more tired and afraid of her, and no one wanted to be around her. How's she ever going to get on in life, Dad said. The school should have done more to stop her back then, Mam said. I seemed to be the only one angry with Ruth. She needed to get over her bizarre fear and return to herself, to us. Let our family get back to normal. Why do you always have to go on about it? She can't help it, Mary said. Toward the end of summer and the start of secondary school, our family's panic was at an all-time high, worrying how Ruth could possibly attend classes with her now utter intolerance. I wasn't convinced Ruth's phobia was as crippling as she claimed. During a family day out at Dollyman Strand, I watched her brave the sand, pebbles, shells, seaweed, and salty ocean. How could she withstand all those irritants? At home later, Jimmy, our cockatoo, perched on her hand, shoulders, and head. If his antics didn't offend her either, why couldn't Mary and I, her 2/3, also touch her? As soon as I got Ruth alone, I quizzed her. She fired her sandy shoe at me, sending granules flying. It's people touching me I can't stand. It's like slugs slithering over my skin, covering me in slime. It's bad enough that other people don't believe me, but for you to accuse me. I really want you to get better. I watched her cry, aching to hug her and envying the tears sliding down her red splotched face, able to make tender contact. So I leave the opening story there, and I will read you a short excerpt from the 4th story in the collection. And again, I'll start at the beginning. And this story is titled Rare But Not Impossible. Margot entered Dublin Airport's arrival hall alongside her fellow passengers, facing into the swell of waiting family, lovers, and friends. She looked away from the various emotional reunions, her throat thickening just as it had during the airplane's shaky descent, when she'd sighted the familiar patchwork of green fields through the window. Every time she returned, that first glimpse of home made her teary. She scanned the last of the expecting crowd, knowing no one was there to meet her, and yet half hoping. Her parents were waiting for her at home, the trek to the airport too inconvenient and risky to their minds, its roads treacherous, its large roundabout lethal. Shrieks sounded from the small group to Margot's right, another 30-something daughter like herself back from New York. A watery-eyed family circled the willowy woman and clasped her inside thick arms sheeted in dark, rain-splattered vinyl, the voices full of the sunny weather that Margot wished was awaiting her. In the 10 years since she'd emigrated, she had flown home maybe a dozen times, and every trip the sky spilled. She fixed on the exit doors and hurried toward the taxi rank. Inside the walkway's glass tunnel beaded with rain, her floral patterned suitcase dragged after her with a scraping sound, its front splashed with a strip of red tape that warned heavy. I'm going to skip a scene and take us to when Margot arrives home to her parents. Mam sat opposite Margot at the kitchen table while Dad remained on his armchair in front of the blaring TV, the sports commentator narrating a horse race with shrill excitement. Mam looked plumper and Dad thinner, and both their faces were more lined. The kitchen, the entire house, looked much the same. Dad aimed his pen above the newspaper's racing forms, recording his wins and losses. He claimed he only ever bet pittance, but monitored each race as though he'd gambled his life savings. Eat up, Mam said, nudging the greasy, heaped plate closer. Mar used to crave these staples from her childhood, especially the fat sausages and thick slices of brown bread slathered in butter. But she'd gone off fatty processed foods in recent years and would much prefer fresh fruit and granola with a dollop of yogurt. If she admitted as much, her parents would say she'd been living in America too long. She felt a little sick, her stomach out of whack from tiredness and the questionable airplane food. I'm full, thanks. She pushed the plate away, the 2 discs of black pudding staring up like large, empty eyes. Mam ran her hand over her flattened grey-brown hair. I'm a holy show. I waited for you to come home to colour it. I'll take care of it first thing in the morning. I brought the best of products. That's all right. I have my own stuff I like. Margot swallowed the urge to coax. Her parents had never said it out loud, but they thought she'd gotten a bit big in herself in America. She felt the need to watch what she said around them and everyone else here, to put herself down in good measure. It's a pity Kevin didn't come, Mam said for the second time. She and Dad loved Margot's husband of 6 years and had often congratulated her on finding a grand Irishman in America who wouldn't have wanted you to wind up with a foreigner. I told you he's busy at work and the airfare's scandalous. Plus he has to come back for his brother's wedding in December. Dad half came out of his armchair, goading his horse on. His bet won and he shot to his full height, his arms straight up in the air. He was less excited earlier when he'd met Margot in her suitcase at the front door. She recalled his rare hug with a warm feeling, his smell minty from the numbing cream he rubbed into his joints. He never failed to embrace her on her arrival, but it was a one-way gesture. The night before her departure, her parents religiously pretended they would see her at breakfast, but neither of them ever got out of bed to say goodbye. She supposed she also preferred dodging that pain. I'm going to leave that there. And I thank you again for inviting me to read for you today. It's been a delight. I wish you all a very happy St. Patrick's Day and all best wishes. Thank you.